Space Invaders was a worldwide phenomenon. When it burst onto the scene, nobody had ever seen anything like it. The Atari 2600 version of the Space Invaders game was a monumental boost to the Atari Corporation. It was the first Atari 2600 game to ever sell 1 million copies. It also boosted the sales of its consoles and is considered the first killer app for video game consoles. This is the first space-based video game that I ever played. Being that this game was released in 1980, it was also one of the first space-based games out at the time. It was also the first home video game port that was licensed from the arcade version. The beauty of this game lies in its simplicity. It was said to be inspired by the video game Breakout. While the gameplay is simple, at the time it was also groundbreaking. For example, this is one of the first video games where your opponents fired back at you. Really? It was also the first video game that had destructible barriers to hide behind. The arcade version was also the first video game that would record your high score, albeit without initials. It was also a fun and addictive game. The planet is being invaded by multiple waves of gooey, slimy invaders slowly descending upon you. You are in control of the planetary's defense, your lone laser cannon against the many invaders. How long can you hold them off before succumbing? The controls are pretty simple: left, right, and the fire button. You must kill the invaders by shooting them down one at a time until they are all dead. All the while they are slowly descending upon you like ants on a sugarcane. You can hide behind the shield barriers, but they are slowly being destroyed as the enemy laser beams come raining down. Even your laser cannon can damage the defense barrier if you're not careful. Occasionally an alien spaceship will rapidly jot across the top of the screen. Shoot it down for extra points. The longer you take, the faster the enemy will start moving towards you. If you don't successfully shoot down all the enemies in time, they will eventually land right on top of you, ending your life and destroying your planet. The concept was simple and fun to play. The sounds within the game were not that bad, fairly close to the arcade version. There's a sort of marching sound, hut 2 3 4, hut 2 3 4, going on constantly in the background. Once the game pace picks up, the background tempo also speeds up. There's a nice firing sound and a nice humming sound when an alien ship is coming across the screen. Simple and concise. There are an incredible 112 different game variations, including moving shields, zigzagging laser bombs, fast laser bombs, and invisible Vaders. 2 player options allow you to alternate play with a buddy after dying. This game even has cooperative multiplaying options, possibly the first Atari game to do so. Suffice it to say, there is quite a bit of replay value built into these variations, especially knowing you can play against the computer or against a friend. The difficulty switch determines the size of your laser cannon. In position A, the cannon is twice as large as it is in position B. On the Twin Galaxies website, there are 2 NTSC world records listed. Game 1 difficulty B, Frankie Cardula, 621,535. Game 7 difficulty B, Ron Corcoran, 10,875. Space Invaders for the 2600 was released with 4 different labels: picture, text, red, and silver. There were also 3 different box art styles. Space Invaders is a very common cartridge for the Atari 2600 and is therefore easy to get your hands on it. It can be found on eBay, Amazon, or wherever video games are sold. Once you've mastered Space Invaders but you still want more, there's tons of hacks out there. Here's a list I found of a few of them on Atariage, including one by Atariage user Nukey Shay. This is an 8K version with many enhancements. These are all freely available to download. Atariage is offering a couple of hacks of Space Invaders for sale: Space Instigators and Space Invaders Arcade, both available for $20 plus shipping. It was officially ported to the Atari 8-bit line and to the Atari 5200 console. There is also a version of Space Invaders for the Atari 7800 console by Bob D. Crescenzo, available on Atariage for $30. Pack Rat Video Games is selling a hack of Space Invaders called Space Invaders Vector for about $15 plus shipping. Call me a purist, but I prefer the original to most of these knockoffs. This is the game that spawned a whole new generation of video games, and the arcade version nearly single-handedly pulled the market out of the crash of 1977. It is the precursor to the modern-day shooter. It is simple, it's fun, it's a must-have for your Atari 2600 collection. Highly recommended. By Bob D. Crescenzo. Bob D. Crescenzo? Bob D. Crescenzo.